Welcome back to the channel, and thank you for joining me. I'm Algabot, your guide to the world of automated trading on MetaTrader 5. Today we're unpacking an expert advisor called Kinetic Thrust Rider. This is a pure price action and momentum strategy, and here's the interesting twist. It uses no traditional indicators at all. Instead, it builds its own momentum measure, called kinetic efficiency, directly from closing prices. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly how this strategy spots a clean, efficient thrust, confirms it against market structure, and then rides that move. So let's dive in and break it down piece by piece. Let's start with the big picture. Kinetic Thrust Rider is a momentum continuation system. Its whole philosophy rests on a single idea that's worth pausing on. Real momentum is not just a big move, it's an efficient move. Price can travel a long way while thrashing back and forth, wasting energy, and that kind of messy move often fails. But when price travels in a clean, near straight line, that efficiency tends to signal genuine conviction behind the move. To capture that, the strategy computes something it calls kinetic efficiency. It takes the net distance price has traveled over a short window and divides it by the total path price actually walked to get there. That ratio lives roughly between -1 and +1. A value near +1 means an almost perfectly straight push higher, a clean bullish thrust. A value near -1 means a clean bearish thrust. And a value near 0 means choppy, indecisive, sideways action that the strategy wants nothing to do with. Now, this is not an indicator you'll download from the market. The expert advisor calculates it itself, bar by bar, from raw closing prices. That keeps it lightweight and transparent. There's no lag from a smoothing formula and no mystery about what's under the hood. Because it works purely from price, Kinetic Thrust Rider can be applied to any symbol and any time frame you choose as the primary chart. It's well suited to traders who think in terms of breakouts, trends, and momentum rather than mean reversion. If you like the idea of waiting patiently for a decisive thrust and only then joining the move in its direction, this is the style of logic that should feel at home. Remember, everything here is for educational purposes only, so we're studying how the mechanics work, not chasing any outcome. Now let's walk through the exact logic, step by step. First, timing. The strategy acts only once per closed bar. The bar currently forming is ignored because it can still change. When that forming bar advances and a new one begins, the previous bar has officially closed, and that's the moment the expert advisor evaluates everything. This avoids reacting to flickering, unfinished price data. It also checks that there's enough history to work with, and that there is no position already open for its magic number. The strategy keeps things simple by holding just one trade at a time and letting the stop loss and take profit manage it to completion. Now the three conditions that must all agree before an entry. Condition 1 is momentum. The strategy computes kinetic efficiency over the momentum window. The net move from the start of the window to the end is divided by the sum of every individual step along the way. For a long, that efficiency must be at or above the threshold, which defaults to 0.55. For a short, it must be at or below the negative of that threshold. This is the cleanliness filter. Condition 2 is structure. Momentum alone isn't enough. For a long, the trigger bar must close above the highest high of the prior breakout lookback bars, proving it has actually broken recent resistance. For a short, it must close below the prior lowest low. The strategy detects a genuine break of structure, not just a strong-looking candle. Condition 3 is the candle itself. For a long, the trigger bar must close above its open, a bullish candle. For a short, it must close below its open. So momentum, structure, and the candle all point the same way before anything fires. When all three align, the EA signals an entry. It measures the average bar range over the range lookback period as a price action volatility gauge. The stop distance is that average range multiplied by stop multiple. The stop is placed that distance away from entry, and the take profit is the stop distance multiplied by the reward ratio, which defaults to 1.8. So risk and reward are defined the instant the trade opens, and the position is then left to run to its target or its stop. Let's read through the code exactly as it appears in Meta Editor. At the top we have the inputs, the dials you can adjust. MomWindow sets how many bars the momentum calculation looks back over. A smaller window reacts faster. A larger one demands a longer, sustained thrust. Efficiency thresh is the cleanliness bar. Raise it towards 0.9 and you'll only take the very straightest moves. Lower it and you'll accept more. Breakout lookback controls how far back the structure break is measured. Range lookback sets the window for average volatility, and stop multiple and reward ratio together shape your risk and your target. Lots is simply the order size. Now the momentum block. The variable net is the closing price 1 bar ago minus the close from further back. That's the net distance traveled. Then the loop walks bar by bar, adding up the absolute size of every single step and stores that total in path. Dividing net by path gives us efficiency, our signed cleanliness ratio between -1 and +1. Next, the entry conditions. A long signal is true only when 3 things all hold. Efficiency is at or above the threshold. The trigger close is above the prior high, and the candle is bullish. The short signal mirrors that exactly in the opposite direction. Notice how all 3 must be true at once. Finally, when a long signal fires, the entry price is read from the current ask. The buy is sent with the stop placed 1 stop distance below entry, and the take profit set at the stop distance multiplied by the reward ratio above entry. Clean, mechanical, and fully defined at the moment of entry. Let's watch the strategy work on this illustration. Notice the lower panel. That's our self-computed kinetic efficiency, swinging between -1 and +1, with dashed thrust thresholds at +0.55 and -0.55. On the price chart, the blue line marks the recent structure high and the gray line marks the recent structure low. Look at the first few candles. Price drifts sideways in a tight range, and efficiency hovers near 0. This is exactly the choppy, indecisive action the strategy ignores. No thrust, no trade. Then watch the 6th candle. Price surges in one clean, efficient push, closing above the blue structure line. At the same moment, efficiency leaps up through the +0.55 threshold into the bullish thrust zone. Momentum, structure, and a bullish candle all agree, so the buy entry triggers. Importantly, this is a continuation signal, not a bet against the move. The strategy joins the thrust and rides it. Over the next couple of candles, price extends higher and reaches the take profit, where the long trade closes in profit on this example. Now the second half. Price stalls near the highs, then rolls over hard. On the 11th candle, a clean bearish push closes below the gray structure low, and efficiency plunges through the -0.55 threshold into the bearish thrust zone. Once again, all 3 conditions line up, and the sell entry triggers. Price continues lower, riding the downward thrust, and reaches the take profit below. So in both directions, the pattern is identical. Wait for a clean, efficient break of structure, confirm the candle, and ride the move. This is a teaching illustration only. And that brings us to the end of our breakdown of Kinetic Thrust Rider. We covered its core idea, that genuine momentum is an efficient move, and we walked through how it computes kinetic efficiency from raw price with no traditional indicators. We saw the 3 conditions that must align before entry, momentum, structure, and a confirming candle, and how the volatility-based stop and fixed reward ratio define each trade. We also read the MQL5 code and watch both a long and a short playout on the chart. Remember, this video is for educational purposes only and is not financial advice. If you found it helpful, please like the video, subscribe for more MetaTrader 5 strategy analyses, and leave a comment with the strategy you'd like me to break down next. Learn more over at www.algobot.live. Past performance does not guarantee future results. Trade responsibly.